Ah, magnificent.
It's a misplaced sense of loyalty.
To this thief, to this liar, to this...
I know, but it's like a friend of his.
Up the back there,
yeah, the phony helmets.
The fake helmets. With the exception of the Luftschutz one, you have the fake sign. Like usual, the channel pants are quite interesting. They are quite a different item, but they're just insulated Luftwaffe pants. They're not channel pants as he's professing. You have the usual assortment of random firearms. And here you have the big spread. It's coming.
The big spread, I like that.
Silver plates, the wooden plates, all the garbage. There's your stack of 6 bog rolls in case COVID's given you the runs. The bad insignia in the case. The Czech knife, which is actually real, but the case that it comes in, sadly, is not. I'm going to freeze the frame here just before when he panned back to his case, and just point out a couple of things that have been in there a very long time, but I'd like to raise their awareness so people do not get stung with them.
Go ahead, this is Counselor. Yeah, what's it doing here? Oh, here it gives a breakdown.
Silver. You of course have the
He's showing all the phony pins that Counselor has.
Silverware that he has. He has a DLV or a NSKK spread-winged badge. These enamel badges have been faked for a long time. The Italian SS Eagle, very...
Oh, that is very rare.
They are rare as anything.
So I know.
Anyone who buys this from him thinking
they're made for less than a year.
Wash yourself out. This is just garbage. But just the lack, the lack of credibility here is immense. The the one-piece World War I Iron Cross with the 1939 sprang on the left, that's been there for almost 5 years, should give you so much concern. And of course here you see...
And I saw Counselor when I was there, and I saw Whitman, and I walked by, and I'm trying to be very inconspicuous. I'm walking along with my camera, and I have my cane and my hat, and I'm trying to be walk through and film, and I have to say, kind of got the cold shoulder. Nobody had a howdy do to say to the old colonel amongst the the regular attendees such as these two fellas, but well, let's continue.
The 4 rolls still standing that he can't give away.
Yes, and look, after all this, all these videos, and this son of a bitch is still showing up with the goddamn toilet paper. You'd think he would cut his losses and just wipe his own ass with that paper, but no, he's still trying to sell it.
To burn them at this rate. But that's Walter, Same thing, same things every show, same crap, same stuff he's peddling, and that's what we're doing. We're out here trying to raise awareness that this scumbag, this scammer is still at shows. There you go, he's a life member of the OVMS. Anyone who's a OVMS member, anyone who's an OVMS part of the establishment should really look at this and just check themselves. And the table of fake garbage hats on the far left in between them that have been there forever.
Yes, he's had those a while.
Sign that he's been trying to sell for.
And that, I don't know if that's the same sign or what that we had seen in the past, but I told you the story about how I almost bought one from him, although maybe that's another one. But anyway, here he's moving on to this Bologna chair. This is a great piece. I knew when I saw Whitman's video that this would be great material. So here we go.
Over a year now. Most of you will know who this is. This is where sanity goes to die at these shows. This is Gerhard Wimbil. And he always has things that he claims are from the Brown House, from the Burkhoff. It's all woodwork. He's all got Hitler's chair, Hitler's rug, Hitler's fucking table piece. And this is just sad. This is just where sanity goes to die. Listen to this garbage.
Probably an Alsatian, maybe. No, it's a German Shepherd. An Alsatian is, yeah. It was given a gift to Hitler.
Given as a gift to Hitler, and it's got Blondie 41.
Oh, this is just crazy.
Laser etched into
Look
the
at this. This is insane. Number one, the chair is in perfect condition, like nobody sat in it for the last 80 years. And then look at this. You have this like laser etched in there, Blondie 41, and then I guess, I don't know, is that AH? And then, I mean, it's in perfect condition. And it's like, you know what, that's so ridiculous. It doesn't even look period. But anyway, go ahead.
Of it. Look how it's cut. You know, this is just it's a joke. This is something that even, you know, a brand new collector wouldn't suck up.
And look, then watch this.
Look at this.
Look at this. Then he has a private property, Adolf Hitler. It's crazy. And you look, it looks like that was printed yesterday. You know, it's crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. It's an insult to our intelligence. But let's let him continue here.
Private property Adolf Hitler. Like, if you believe that, like, this is just sad. Like, Gerhard Wimbil is one of the biggest shit peddlers at these shows.
What?
Like, he goes down with Germania with the level.
And you see, I thought he had the German accent. He's showing up with all this stuff, and I think Whitman even bought this piece from him. Whitman better wonder if that's a real deal. It could be a phony. If it's next to the Blondie chair, you know, this thing looks like something that some, you know, Amish guy might have made. Probably they're equivalent to some, you know, furniture maker over in Bavaria made that, and it's a fantasy piece, and then they're trying to say it was a special order for Adolf Hitler for his dog, with a picture of the dog etched, you know, carved out of the back. But this is incredible. You know, they're such flimflammery. You know, I'd say to him, where'd you have a period picture of that chair? What? You know, even then, if he did, I'd still think that was a fake, a reproduction. But that's just an utter fantasy piece. But anyway, let's continue.
Garbage that this guy has, and he has a lot of the stuff year in, year out. Another Key Largo residence as well, so...
Oh, I didn't know that. He's living down in Florida himself. He's probably like, they probably take a joint trip together and travel over to Germany and go over there and do the buying. Or, you know, maybe they go to Eastern Europe. I don't know. But anyway, let's just continue.
Far away as you can.
It's an absolute unique thing. Somebody wanted to make something nice for...
No, I would tell him that I like the workmanship. I'll tell you what, I like the workmanship. I might, you know what, I like it. I might go $200 for that if that's really carved, and I'd use that to put my shoes on. You know, I get up in the morning. But anyway, let's continue. But that's not a real piece.
You won't give him a Blondie chair, you know.
As I said, where sanity dies.
It's absolute unique, that thing.
So you understand this, collectors? A local furniture maker.
Even Tom, like, you can tell in his voice, even Tom's like...
Yeah, but here's the thing. Whitman has to know that's a fake. He's been around for decades. And why he's playing along with these guys, and you know, he's just, I really do truly believe he's tarnishing his reputation doing this. It's just unbelievable. Just terrible in my opinion. But anyway, we'll continue.
This is a crock of shit. This is the biggest load of bullshit I've seen in a long time. He's trying not to laugh. Look at him.
Yeah, he does have kind of a little smirk on his face. If you look there.
It's really something, isn't it, Gerhard? Yeah. This is something also that I want to finish on, you know, to talk about these people in the hobby. You know, that the people in the hobby is what is one of the big problems. This is just a tray that somebody's had put the swastika embossed onto. Yeah, another AH box. Yeah, another fake.
I know, it's amazing. They just that AH stuff's just laying around everywhere. It's amazing.
It's not from the state set. It's for something that
And he's gone and put cookies in it.
Finer details with
I wouldn't really call that finer detail, but yeah. He says it's a cookie tin, yeah, biscuit tin.
And you know what? Honestly, would you eat a cookie out of that filthy old tin box like that? I sure as hell wouldn't. Probably put together with lead and all the dirt and bacteria over the years. Even though I think it's a pure piece, but I agree with the boy. I think they just slapped a AH on there to, it's probably owned by some old lady over in Germany, and they decided to do that. But we'll continue here.
And he's made a swastika cookie. He's cooked up swastika cookies, yes.
I mean, that's crazy. Then he does some crazy thing. They're banning all these symbols and giving trouble to show, and it's just and those cookies look terrible.
And this is the kind of people we have selling at these shows, trying not to get these shows closed down. Yeah, wow,
yeah.
Very cool. Even Tom's like, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is wrong with these people? Guys, that's it for this one. There's very little footage of this show that's of any quality.
Yes, he's right.
A lot of it.
But anyway, getting on to what I was going to say. The Max show, it was like the boy said, it was bought out a couple years ago by the Ohio Valley Military Collectors Association. They're a fine organization. I have no quarrel with them. The one thing, though, that you got to understand why these shows are declining is a lot of people, you have internet sales now. When these shows were established, there was no internet, and there were some great finds back then, and it was entertaining, and it was interesting. And what you have now is the internet is taking its toll. I think that a lot of items, instead of people going to shows, they're buying it online. And dealers, they're selling on their own websites, and I don't think we're not seeing all this stuff coming out like. And another thing too is, how many more undiscovered Adolf Hitler things is they going to find? All we're seeing are these phonies that are showing up. And then in the last few years, as I know you're all aware, it's now politically incorrect on a lot of this stuff, where we have these, they're ripping statues down, trying to erase history, and they're doing their damnedest to try to shut a lot of these shows down. And what's not talked about, I've never seen in a video, but I know this is a fact, is not only do you have less items coming up, and you have maybe less interest in live shows. I know there was a big Civil War show used to be in Gettysburg that closed down, and even on this show it was never mentioned. The York show, they had, I didn't even notice until I pulled in, a boy pulled up in a Ford pickup truck, and he's saying, hey, do you know where the Steve Sylvia show is? And Steve Sylvia, he owns the North-South Trader magazine. It deals with Civil War relics and stories, and it's an interesting little publication. I haven't subscribed to it in a number of years, but Sylvia owns that, and he's promoting and running his own shows, and just by chance, he was having a show the very day that I was there on that Thursday at the Max show, and he was in another building. I later found out that was 500 tables, and I don't know how his shows are going. I think he probably organized those to try to keep his publication relevant, and I didn't have a chance to walk over to his show and say hello to him. I do know him, but I think they probably should have cross-promoted that, with the Military Ohio, the Max show. But anyway, that's getting a little off topic. One thing that I believe was a catalyst for the Max show leaving Monroeville, which was a great place. It was hotels, it was restaurants, it was a nice location for a lot of people. If you're driving into the East Coast, you're coming up from the South like myself, and it drew from a lot of people. It had the airport, York doesn't have a damn airport. Pittsburgh has an airport. Okay, I'm back. My one camera gave out. But anyway, Monroeville was a nice location, and it would tell you a little background. There was I guess that was in the early 2000s, I think. The Max Show they left and went to Charlotte. They originally started out, I think they were in St. Louis, and then they moved to Pittsburgh. I think it was late 80s, early 90s. And I really like Monroeville location. It's a great location. And let me kind of go back. We'll kind of get back and let me see here. The location was great, and they had what they called the Monroeville Expo Mart. That was a big area before their current convention center. And that location was wonderful. I really enjoyed that location. Plenty of restaurants, hotels. But anyway, early 2000s, they ended up having a problem where some of the owners were not happy with the sort of things that were there, and there was a wrangle over that. And I can tell you this, the Max Show left for a couple years, and then they patched it up, and they came back, and they were there. And then what I understand, and this is what I heard, and it's back, there are facts behind it, because these events did occur. The year before the last Max Show, there was a gentleman showed up, and he had a lot of it was like a collection of anti-Semitic publications that the Nazis had put out, and he had this huge collection of that stuff there. And I did my usual walkthrough, quick, and then I usually come back. I'll do a second walkthrough, and I came back. It was a couple hours later. He was all packed up and gone, and I'm like, oh, I bet he got thrown out of there. And what I found out was the next year he came back, and that would have been 2 years before the last show. So the next year I come back, and he was back, but he had a very smaller display of these items, and he acknowledged that. He told me that yes, and they were completely right. The show officials told him that his material was not Militaria related, and they told him to pack up and get out, and he did. And the year before the last show was at Monroeville. He ended up. He came back, and I talked to him again. He had a much smaller display, and he basically told me that yes, he was kicked out for that very reason, that it wasn't military related, and it was distasteful, things that he was displaying. And what I found out, and they let him come back with a much smaller display. It was, I guess, like a negotiated thing. And what I found, and tragically, the next year, you had a shooting at a synagogue in Pittsburgh, and there was a lot of outcry about, this anti-Semitic act that was done. The guy was some sort of a kook that went in this place, and he murdered these people. And what I found in that year, shortly after that, the local paper up there, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, did a story on this, on the Max Show, displaying this stuff. And here's the thing, this guy tried to get the Post-Gazette to do a story before, the year before. They weren't interested. And I believe the whole, and if you read the article, what it boiled down to was this gentleman is Jewish, and he was upset that he decided he was going to collect Holocaust-related items, and part of that would be this anti-Semitic material. And what happened was, in the story, he discovered that there were these collectors of Third Reich material, and that, I think it upset him, and he wasn't happy with that. In my opinion, I believe he went up to the Max Show to create an incident. Either, if they did kick him out, he's not happy. If they let him stay, he wouldn't have been happy. They did the right thing kicking him out. And in my opinion, they should have not let him come back with that material the next year. But anyway, he came back, and then that shooting occurred at that temple. And Post-Gazette ran the story. In my opinion, I think, just with the general political atmosphere, I believe that the people who own the convention center, I believe that that was the straw that broke the camel's back. They thought that just with this Third Reich stuff being displayed, even with putting things over the swastikas and all that, and this story with the temple show, I believe that prompted them to not permit the Max show to come back. That's my opinion. I don't have any documentation on that except that guy was there. He did those displays those 2 years. That paper in Pittsburgh ran that story. We did have the shooting. It all makes perfect sense that that's what occurred. And the problem is, with this sort of collectible item, you're having these venues, these people, they don't, before I always thought, hey, you know what, if you're not hurting anybody, you're collecting stuff, it's all part of history, that, you should, do what, you're minding your own business, you should do what you want to do. Nobody should control what you can think or do or whatever, as long as you're not hurting anybody. But these people, they don't like that, and if something that they don't want to do, they don't want to get involved in, they want to dictate that you can't do it. And we lost our screen now. And anyway, so what's happened is it's not just a Max show. I think all these venues are under fire. I think even the Show of Shows. There was an article in Louisville paper. There was some reporter trying to get the Show of Shows thrown out of Louisville, their convention center. And I think that's what prompted, they sat down, they did it right. They sat down with the convention people, and they worked out, we'll cover these insignias, you can't do this, some of these earlier shows, people would be wearing, I'd see guys wearing like German uniforms and walking around, and I saw a guy wearing an Adolf Hitler World Tour like concert T-shirt listing all the countries that they conquered and were in, and the whole thing is you got to be low key. You can't be aggravating. Now you don't wave the red flag in front of the bull, but the way things are going now, I think what we have is, they've got us, in a way, on the run. They're trying to force us out of all these major venues. And, I think the OVS, I can't kick on anything they've done. For all I know, maybe York was the only venue that they could find that was feasible to conduct this show. It's certainly not convenient to go to. There's no major airports. It's in the middle of a cornfield. And it's a hell of a long drive for me. I'm not sure that I'm going to be going back to the Max show, and I've been going to those since the early 90s. I didn't go to the St. Louis shows. I went to the Pittsburgh ones. But I mean, it's becoming a burden, and you have to go where you can go. So I can't fault them that maybe this isn't the greatest venue, but they might not have had a choice the way things are going these days. I mean, what can I say? It's been tough. So that's kind of my 2 cents worth on it. Trying to think if there's anything else I want to kind of add. Oh, as a side note, I do have a friend who lives in the Pittsburgh area, and he didn't go to the Max show this year, but he did drive by the Monroeville Convention Center, and guess what? They didn't have any convention in for that very weekend. Now, so you can't tell me they would turn down a show, and I can't believe the OVS people would move that show unless they were told to move it. And the other thing, too, is, you got to remember, the Show of Shows is there. my camera gave out again. The show shows us very interesting topic, notable guests, and but you know, all those parties, they passed on, and the Max show in the past was great too. I remember, you know, for years you had Hans Gobler. He was a U-boat crew member. He would set up every year with his daughter, and I would talk to those folks. And then even the hotel. One year I remember there was an old German soldier. He was playing the accordion like I imagine they did back during the war years, and it was interesting. It was interesting, and but anyway, that's kind of my summary of the Max show and the review of Military Reviews and some of my own reasons why the show has kind of hit on harder times than what we've ever seen. But anyway, this is Colonel Braxton Beauregard Burlique the Fifth, adventurer, treasure hunter, swashbuckler extraordinaire, at your service, madam.